So hi everyone, welcome to this digital presentation of a Meaningful Masters conducted in cooperation with Eliko Foundation in Tanzania. Our previous master student, because you're no longer a master student, right? Ingrid Schulstad wrote her thesis about optimization of PV battery systems for rural health facilities with surplus utilization by electric motorcycles, with fieldwork in Tanzania this spring. During her entire master project, she was well supported by her EVB mentor, Ida Fuchs, who sadly couldn't be here today. But before we start, I'd like to inform you all that we are recording this presentation and we'll publish it on our website after. So you may find it there again under webinars. I'd also like to remind you to just please mute yourselves. And if you have questions, you may wait until the end. There will be time for Q&A then. I was hoping we had Eliko with us as well. I don't think, maybe they haven't been able to log on.
At least I've talked with Adrian previously, and they're informed that the presentation will be recorded at least.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, I have presented the results for them myself, kind of.
Perfect. All right. So without further ado, I'll give the word to you, Ingrid.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much, everyone, for being here. I'm very honored that you are interested in my results because I feel it's a very interesting project with interesting results, and I hope we can do more interesting impact together. And thank you for the introduction, Elisa. As you almost said, the title of my thesis is Optimization of PV Battery Systems for Rural Health Facilities with Surplus Utilization by Electric Motorcycles, a field-informed PIOMO approach by Sustainable Power and Water Access in Chemba, Tanzania. And I will really try to keep it simple and just to tell you the interesting results and short how I did it and about the fieldwork. And in the picture here, you can see Adrian, who followed me all the time during the fieldwork. And we're in front of a Rufati dispensary. And I think the doctor is here with us today. Yeah, so Adrian is from Eliko. Yeah, there it is. So the structure of the presentation, I'll go through that first. First, I'll introduce the case, followed by the research question and an overview of the method. And I'll use this overview to kind of hold your hand through the presentation. So first, after that, I will introduce the fieldwork, the modeling, and modeling is built up of one modeling for load profiles, modeling for power generation, and two mixed integer linear programming optimization models. And after that, I'll present the results on system sizes, dispensaries as charging stations, how the results can be transferable in Tanzania, and the results from water analysis. So about the case, this is a map of Tanzania with all the operating health facilities in the country. And Chemba is a district within the Doma region, which is here. And there's about 50 dispensaries in Chemba. And also, first of all, a dispensary is a small health facility, often in the rural areas, which is smaller than a health station and also smaller than a hospital, obviously. So these dispensaries are very important in the rural local communities. And out of these dispensaries, many do lack fully or partially access to electricity, water, and mobility in terms of transportation. And I think we all sort of understand the need for electricity, but also to just make an example, the birth rate is much higher than in Norway. And without electricity, you don't have any light during birth if the birth happens during the night. So it's very important for very many reasons. But something as simple as just a light bulb could help a lot. And Eliko is doing a tremendous work on electrifying all these dispensaries, or not all. They're working within Dodoma and Chemba and Kigoma right now, but they're trying to expand, and of course they want to use their money as efficient as possible. So they have done the Kijanisha Afia program, which my project kind of adds on to that. More, it's probably harder to understand the need for transportation at these dispensaries. And all the dispensaries, they do have their own activities, but they're also doing outreach to surrounding hamlets or villages, responsible for those villages. About 6 villages per dispensary at a distance of 6 kilometers, 10 kilometers away. So they travel to all these dispensaries once a month, or 6 hamlets every month for vaccination and for education on nutrition and family planning and so on. So for this, they do need transportation. And with a motorcycle or so, they can also attend emergencies more quickly. And without a staff house, which is usually not the case that they have, the doctor also have to commute from the village to the dispensary, or from where they live to the dispensary. And we also want to attract doctors to these rural health stations. So therefore, both staff house and transportation is wanted. And also, two-wheelers or electric motorcycles are found to be cost effective in Tanzania compared to conventional motorcycles. So therefore, the transition towards electric mobility is really is a really important thing in Tanzania now, and other countries in the East Africa. Not to combat emissions necessarily, but because it's cost effective. And also, this is an interesting graph to attract funding from Europe, maybe. As transportation, this Turkish area is the most emission intensive sector in Tanzania. So my research question ended up to be, what are optimal system sizes of PV battery inverter systems for dispensaries in Chemba, and how can water supply and motorcycle charging be included in the systems and utilize surplus energy? So bear with me. This is the overview of my method, and I'll now take you through the fieldwork, followed by the load profiles. I made 3 load profiles based on the fieldwork, where all are made up of critical load, normal dispensary load, scenario-specific load, and dispensary motorcycle load. And I have modeled the PV generation at the site. And these 3 load profiles built up of these are included in a MILP, mixed integer linear programming optimization model, to find what are the optimal system sizes, how many PV modules and how many batteries should you have. And after the sizes are found, I made a new model for charging optimization. where I investigated how external motorcycles or village motorcycles can utilize the surplus energy in the already optimized system sizes. And in that way, how can the dispensary act as a rural charging station? So first, the fieldwork, we started in Dar es Salaam, where we met Eliko at their office and spent some time with them and got to know them. And we also spent 2 days at the University of Dar es Salaam. Those days were planned and organized by Ida, which is my mentor from Engineers Without Border, and she's pictured up here. So we had presentations and meetings with the physics faculty and the engineering faculty, which was very interesting. And after that, we traveled to Chemba together with Adrian. Adrian is the same guy, the guy from the front page. And this is Eric. Eric is an engineer, and also Adrian is an engineer. And Adrian helped us as an interpreter through all our interviews. And we did interviews with doctors and nurses at 5 different dispensaries and 1 health center, and with the district medical officer. And the district medical officer is the one responsible for all the dispensaries and health centers in Chemba district. So this was very valuable for hands-on and local information about the local needs. So yeah, and I can also say this is an interview setting at one of the dispensaries, and this is a picture from an installation that we attended. Or yeah, Eric did the installation more or less, and we tried to help him. Here we, yeah, it's just a picture of Tanzania, where we started in Dar es Salaam and we traveled to Chemba. And here I've zoomed into the places that we visited. So over to the modeling. As I said, I modeled 3 main load profiles based on the interviews that we had. So I made stochastic bottom-up load profiles. Bottom-up meaning just I started with interviews. And the first load profile that you can see here is only dispensary appliances. And it's categorized based on what appliances. Yeah, this green is the refrigerator, the vaccine refrigerator. The purple is the sterilization machine. The blue is the water pump, and the orange is the rest of the dispensary activities. And in the orange part here, I've also included all the appliances that are suggested from the Tanzanian government. So in that way, I've also included demand growth. The second load profile adds on a borehole water pump, and it doesn't really affect the system sizing. And the last load profile is with a staff house. So here you can see that the demand is higher during the evening, and it's not really affected during the daytime. But yeah, it's higher during the evening. The purple is the added staff house demand. And this blue here is the kettle, which is at 1,500 watt, which does make a difference, as it needs to be powered by a battery. And motorcycle, the dispensary motorcycle demand is added separately to these load profiles. And they're represented here. Here you can see this upper picture is a representation of the case where the doctor commutes. So this is back and forth to job every day, and here there's a meeting and outreach for these small here only. And this is the case where the doctor do not commute. This load is a flexible load, which is very preferable because you can charge it at any time as long as the motorcycle is not in use. And you can also charge it at different power. So I've used these two different cases in my thesis and also sub-scenarios of the different loads to look at when you should use the different appliances and so on, but I've not presented that here. This is the representation of the power generation. I used pvlib, which is a Python library, to model it. And I used typical meteorological year data, GPS location, tilt and orientation, and I found soiling ratio data from literature. And also temperature and wind is also included in the typical meteorological year data. What you see here, I'll not go deep into this, but what you see here is the solar irradiation per square meter, the blue. The red is solar, it's power generated per PV panel, so about per 2 square meters. And this orange is when you include the effect of soiling. So here I've included soiling, so more and more sand and stuff like that adds on to the solar panels. And in July here, I've said you have to manually clean your panels. And then the production goes up again. And in the end of the year, I have added cleaning based on precipitation patterns. But what's really interesting here is these days. So I've zoomed into those here, and I've used those a lot through my project. Because these days do occur, and the power generation is very much lower than the normal days. And these 6 days here, yeah, as I said, they have been used a lot. So now I've presented fieldwork, load profile, and power generation, and I'll go over to the system sizing. So what I want with the system size optimization is to meet the demand at the minimum cost. And this is a picture of, it's just a visualization of the model where we're looking at 5 different days with normal or high irradiance. And the yellow here is power produced by the PV panels. The black line is the dispensary demand. The blue is dispensary motorcycle demand with a commuting doctor. And yeah, this is the charging. I don't think about why it's spread out. That's, yeah, it's in the other model. And the brown line is the potential from the PV panels, but it's limited by the inverter. So the inverter size is also optimized, and it's optimized to be here, which is effective if you want the morning to be steep and the evening to be steep, or if you want to maximize the power during days with low irradiance. Or yeah, so then it's nice to have more PV panels than the inverter can actually convert. So this is a nice picture with 5 normal days, but we can also go over to this picture, which is the 6 days that I showed you in the power generation slide. So here you can see that there is some lost load, which is demand that is not met, and power outage. But again, if these peaks should be met, then the system has to be quite a lot larger, either twice the amount of solar panels or more batteries. So of course, it's very interesting to know how much more does it cost to always cover all the demand. And that is why I did this analysis to see how much of the total annual demand is allowed to not be met with loss of load, loss of power supply probability. With the graph on the left-hand side here, you can see that if you allow 20% of the annual load to not be met, you only need 6 modules and 1 battery. Of course, that's quite a lot, or way too much. But the relationship here between lost load and the total investment cost over 25 years, so including replacement of batteries and inverter, is definitely not linear. So therefore, it's common in literature and in praxis to find a value of loss of power supply probability that you do allow. And what I found here is that by reducing the reliability and allowing 1.5% lost load, you could reduce the price with 25%. And with this left-hand side graph, you only say all the demand and you take away 1%. And then because batteries are more expensive than PV modules, then the model would take away the nighttime demand, which is critical in our situation for the refrigerator with the vaccines. So therefore, I made this other graph on the right-hand side where I included a critical load, where I said that the refrigerator always needs to be powered at any time step during the whole year. So even though I said you can lose 20% of the demand, you do need 13 modules and 4 batteries. And this guy over here is not even 0%. This is 0.1% lost load. So you can see that the price really do increase with very little effect in the reliability. So that is why I decided to allow 1.5% lost load in my further sizing scenarios. So the result on the sizing is that only dispensary appliances require 19 modules, 3 batteries, 6,300 watt inverter, and has 84% surplus energy. So 84% of the total produced energy is not used. And an investment cost of 9,008. I'm sorry. And the situation with a borehole and a water pump, no borehole, water pump, and a staff house is 13 modules and 8 batteries. And with lower surplus but a higher cost. The situation with the borehole pump is not included here only because it's actually the same as the situation with only the dispensary appliances. So over to the charging optimization. Here, this is more or less the same picture, but it's with another model. And here, the system is 13 modules and 8 batteries. And you can see that almost, oh, I'm sorry. Almost all the time, you can add on a village motorcycle. This is the power produced, and the black is the dispensary demand. And the Turkish line here is village motorcycles. And it's important to notice that this is an unrealistic scenario. The scenario that I've made is that, let's say you can charge a motorcycle, or I wanted to figure out how often can you charge a motorcycle in addition to the dispensary demand without affecting the dispensary activities. So charging of village motorcycles has to be in addition to the dispensary activities. But you can see that you can do it. This is a weekend. You can do it all the time, and you can almost do it all the time also during the weekdays. And this is a graph showing charging distribution. This is the case of scenario 1 with a commuting doctor and no staff house. And I said to the model that the doctor comes to the dispensary in the morning, plugs in the motorcycle, so he probably charges in the morning. And I've also said in the model that you cannot charge the dispensary motorcycle and also let some villagers charge because I assume that you only have one motorcycle charger. But of course you can do changes on that. But what we see here, which is very interesting, is that I said in the model that you can charge for up to 15 hours every day. Not more than 15 hours, but 15 hours. And the model earns a little bit of money by selling this electricity to the villagers. So it wants to do it, but not on behalf of, or not by, how to say, you always have to also cover the dispensary demand. But you can see that from 1530 to 18, more or less, it always charges. 350 days of a year is here. So it charges almost every day from 1530 to 18. So therefore, it's reliable in my eyes. And this graph is really, it looks boring, but I think it's super, super interesting because it says that out of all these charging events, all these Turkish charging events, which is 40 to 46% of all the time steps of the year, or more than 70% of those charging events occur at maximum charging power. So therefore, it's a reliable power source. You can come with your motorcycle and probably charge with maximum charging power, at least if there is communication between the dispensary and the villagers, so that you the dispensary says, yeah, you can come and charge in this time of the year, maybe, no time of the day. So in that way, surplus energy from the cost-optimized dispensary systems can be utilized as rural charging stations. And this is very important for the transition towards electric mobility, as also Tanzania need charging stations and charging infrastructure. And of course, it's important in order to promote people in the rural areas to buy electric motorcycles. So in this way, this is rural charging stations without additional cost or CO2 footprint if you do it in combination with the dispensaries. And yeah, I think this is transferable to other regions in Tanzania. I've not studied this a lot, but this graph on the left-hand side here is two graphs on top of each other, opaque, so that there is one blue and one orange. The blue is the one that I've used in my modeling with a 30 degrees tilt on the roof and with a 7 degrees orientation towards the north, which is almost optimal in Tanzania or in the southern hemisphere. So what you see that is if you have a lower tilt, then the production increases in these two times of the year, which and also lines more with a global horizontal irradiation. But in my case, actually, you get more production during the time of the year with least irradiation, because then the solar rays are more normal to the panel. And this is just a picture of Tanzania with the power potential in the country. And where I studied it, it's about 4.3, which is, and yeah, this is the area. So at least this area will probably have a better potential than what is included in this this project, but maybe the east side has less potential. And very short, I'll also just present the case of Masiwa, which is a dispensary that we visited. And they have to travel 8 kilometers to fetch water and bring it back to the dispensary. But they do have a well which is closer, and but it doesn't have power, so therefore it's not operating. And when we were there, we took water samples from this non-operating, malfunctioning well. And also we took water samples from the roof collected water in order to figure out the quality of the water, because groundwater contamination, especially nitrate and fluoride, is an issue in the whole of Tanzania and many other countries. And what we figured out, with great help from Dr. Banikwa, and the chemistry department at the University of Dodoma, is that the water in this malfunctioning well is actually of drinking quality within the Tanzanian and World Health Organization standards. So therefore, we really hope that we can find a solution to power this this well and make life easier for the guys in Masiwa. So yeah, thank you so much for your attention. And now I'm very open for questions.
Thank you so much, Ingrid. Very
Thank you.
interesting presentation, and it's very nice to hear more about your work. It was a shame Ida couldn't join us as well and tell us more about how it was being your mentor, but I know she's she was very happy to be part of it, and sends her regards as well to everyone she met in Tanzania. And we also have to thank Eliko Foundation for all their contribution as well, and facilitating your field trip.
Yeah, definitely. I have so many people to thank, and and many of them are here in this meeting. So thank you so much, everyone.
Are there any questions or comments for Ingrid? Just feel free to unmute yourselves and go for it.
Ingrid, thank you very much for a very good presentation and a very interesting master's thesis. Just a quick question. How long does it take to charge an electric motorcycle at 1 kilowatt? Seems to be 1 kilowatt is the optimum charging.
Up to 2 hours.
Oh, it's quite quick then.
To fully charge it.
That's great. Oh, great.
Yeah. And these numbers are also taken as if you use the eco mode on the motorcycle, and what we heard on in the interviews is that the limiting factor is not necessarily, it's not the speed, but it's the roads. So you do not travel very fast on these roads, so it's therefore it's also energy efficient.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay. Darkwing. Do you have any maintenance philosophy or maintenance agreement with the vendor?
I'm sorry, I couldn't really hear you, but if I've studied the maintenance part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing that I have included specifically is the annually cleaning of the PV modules, and more maintenance is more. I've included in the way that if you sell this energy to the villagers, then the dispensary can earn some money, or Elico can earn some money, a solution on that, and use that money for maintenance. So in that way, try to force a long-term sustainable operation. But Elico are the ones setting it up, and they're also the ones what's the word? Maintaining the systems. But today they don't have a very strict plan on the maintenance, but they are really aware that they have to have it.
So how far from Elico office to the dispensary?
How far?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good question. But they're out there more or less. They're out there very often, and they do have an electric train from Dar es Salaam to Dodoma city, which I think it took 3 hours or something, 2 or 3 hours. So they do travel out there often, and one thing is the ones working in Elico, but they also have people working out in the districts with the appliances and so on, and also with helping the doctors with the technical problems.
Okay. I'm electrical engineer, so I always present single-line diagram from all my systems. Do you have that on your presentation?
What line you said?
Single-line diagram.
No, I don't think I heard of that.
Okay, I can share you an example. Yes.
In Norwegian, it's known as an enlinjeskjema.
Yeah.
Hindringsskjema.
You see here.
Enlinjeskjema.
Yeah. No, unfortunately, I don't have that.
For my this only one of my projects. You should always have so it's easier to understand the total system.
Mm.
So
I'm sure Elico
Yeah.
have that for all their systems. Elico probably have that, although it wasn't relevant for Ingrid's thesis at this point. So,
And I tried my best in my thesis actually to not dig into it because I'm not an electric engineer. So I more just use the numbers and use the theory, and my thesis was therefore more on the modeling part. But it's just an inverter and a battery, and the grid is usually not connected. And if it's grid connected, the grid is very, very weak. So solar panels are much more reliable in these areas than the grid connection.
because
Now, at least.
for me, it's much easier to understand when you start with this single.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I will take it away.
Heidi, please, you have a question?
Yes, a small question, but also just a comment. Thank you very much, Ingrid, for this presentation. And for me, it's really inspiring also to hear, I mean, so concrete how you talk about what the changes going on for the e-bikes, e-motorbikes, and like all the studies you've done. I guess it's also will be really important for Elico when they want to do this more for health clinics, rural health clinics. So actually that was my question. Do you, how long, I know Elico is not here now, but do you know how long has Elico been cooperating with all these dispensaries, and what are their further plans? Do you know? Just because one thing as well, I think it's important that one thing is the emissions when you use e-vehicles, but it's also like it's cost effective. And I like very much I can really relate and understand what you're saying because that's important when you're talking about health. You have to do it to reach as many people as possible. But yeah, sorry, it was a question. I forgot. I was just so fascinated.
Thank you so much for your question. They have done this on dispensaries for 1 year or 1.5 now, maybe. The Kijanisha Afia program is a pilot project on electrifying health dispensaries. And that project is finalized, but they're now still working on expanding to other dispensaries. But what I'm working on with Elico is to now also attract more funding and for them to use my thesis to kind of punch and say, look, this is affordable and this is a good way to do it. So yeah, I think it's very, very cool that it's actually cost effective and that it's just, they can do both with the same price.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more, and I think it's really inspiring what Elico is doing and what they have achieved so far. And I really hope for them to attract more funding to their projects. Is it correct that this project was funded by the government of Ireland?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
And I know they also have some EU funding, I think.
Yeah. So Elico, they're doing many different projects. So this Kijanisha Afia program on dispensaries is just one small project, and then they have many other solar panel projects, but it's all related to solar panels, more or less.
Yeah, and rural communities.
Yeah, rural communities.
How did you find them? I was wondering how you came in touch.
I sent an email to TAREA, which is Tanzania Renewable Energy, and they're a big organization with many daughter organizations. Is that how you say it? And they sent my email further to their organizations, and then Elico picked it up and said, we want to join. That's how I got in touch with them. Yeah.
Very nice. Brian, please go ahead.
Thank you. I'd like to comment that I think your thesis is more valuable than you're presenting, because one of the problems we experience, I think, is that there is nobody doing the kind of optimization that you do for these so small systems. The tendency is perhaps to oversell the people that are producing and selling to them would oversell, and the people that are requiring it would always say, well, we need to have an extra capacity for our needs. But what you found out, of course, is pretty common, that they're very much over-dimensioned, or or that the consumption is underdimensioned. In other words, you've got a lot of free energy that could be used in the villages, and you've latched onto one use, which is obviously very good, which is motorcycle charging, but there are other uses. So I really think your thesis should be spread more in Tanzania, because this is something that's not done academically in Tanzania, to show that the optimum side is and need a sort of a combination of increasing energy usage and keeping the costs down. Is there any plan for Engineers Without Borders to disseminate this thesis and try to get Eliko to utilize it in all their projects that they're working on, all different sizes of clinics?
At the moment, no, but there might be. We have, of course, sent them Ingrid's thesis. Oh, Adrian's here. Just gonna let him in. We've sent them her thesis and a summary provided by her mentor, Ida. And I know, Ingrid, you keep in touch with them. So I think it's also very cool to see, and this demonstrates how a meaningful master's thesis can have impact for the partner that you're working with.
Thank you so much for your feedback, Brian. I also, as I said, I think the results are also very, very interesting and valuable. So I hope they can be used for something. Yeah.
Maybe that could be another Engineer Without Borders project for another engineer to try to magnify this by utilizing it in a broader scale, broader region.
For sure.
And what's also interesting is also to map out the willingness to pay, and how many motorcycles are is probable to be in these rural areas. Yeah, how many motorcycles will there be who wants to charge from the dispensaries?
Absolutely. I see another hand raised up as well. And I would like to say hi to Adrian from Eliko Foundation. Welcome.
Hello, Adrian.
Hello, hello.
Hi. All right. So please go ahead, Håvard. You have a question.
Yes. Thank you. I came in a little late, but this was super interesting to hear, Ingrid. Great job on presenting it so we can understand as well. Loss of power is, of course, something we really, really don't want. And I found your discussion about this 1.5% number. I was hoping you could explain once more what did it mean? Was it a probability of power loss, or was it in the year that you had data of? And did you explore like other limits for that number, and what did you learn in doing so, if you did?
Yeah, well, I can go back to this slide. So first, 1.5% lost load is that 1.5.
I think we can't see it. I can't see it.
Oh.
Just share it again. It disappeared after.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Now you see it?
Yes.
Yeah. So go the other way. Oh my gosh. This one.
It's actually gone again.
What?
But yeah, no stress.
Oh, I should be able to do this, at least here, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So 1.5%, that's 1.5% of the annual total demand. But the thing that I saw is that those percents, they are usually during those days where there is almost no solar irradiation. So if you want to cover all the percentages, then you have to really have a bigger system. And that's what we see here with the cost, that if you, as I said, this is not even 0%, this is 0. Or at least this one is 0.1% lost load. So the cost versus effect was this analysis based on, and of course if you, as I said, have refrigerators with vaccines, then you need to have it powered. So the importance of having the power is like another graph going in this way, sort of, and where they cross, that's where you should have your loss of power supply probability numbers, sort of. So what I mean with this is that if you allow some days with very little solar irradiation, if you allow those days to have some power outages, or if you educate the doctors using the system to understand that these days I can't use the sterilization machine, for instance, or these days I have to try to not use so much electricity and rather use the sterilization machine another day. Of course, some machines you can't choose when to use when you're not in a dispensary, but some you can. So, and that's also why I included this critical load, where you say the refrigerator always needs power. But if you don't have lights, or if you can't use the kettle, more appliances that are not so essential, then that should be okay. And then you can rather electrify more dispensaries for the same amount of money. But of course, as you say, we don't want the power outages. But when you can reduce the cost with 25%, I think it's reasonable to look into it. Was
Thank
that
you.
a okay question? No, answer.
Yeah. Well, it's an interesting discussion.
Yeah, of course it is. Mhm.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your question. I think we have time for one more question. Dr. Alicia, please go ahead. You can just unmute yourself. Or not? Is this one of the doctors from the dispensaries?
Yeah, so he's from Rafati, which is the dispensary on the front page, and he was very he had a lot of experience with the motorcycles that Eliko has already provided to a few dispensaries. So it was a very good interview. But yeah, maybe it was not a question. Are there any other questions? And if you have questions later, feel free to email me or send me a message. I don't know if my contact information is out there anywhere, but yeah.
Would you like to just put your email in the chat?
Yeah.
Perfect. So while Ingrid puts her contact information in the chat, we are almost done. Oh, Brian, did you have another question?
Yes, you can hear me? Okay. I was hoping Dr. Alicia could come on, but it doesn't seem to be possible. But one final comment. I think if I was surprised at your 1.5%, it would be that it's so low. Many of these clinics will have a small diesel generator for such emergency conditions, will they not?
Yeah.
Or if not,
yeah.
it might be worth buying one.
Yeah, that could be. I've not studied that solution. Then I'll rather just have a bigger battery because the critical demand is so low. But yes, it's more common to have a higher loss of load probability percentage. But yeah, you can also have a diesel generator, but the cost of that is probably higher than the cost of than having more batteries, I will assume. But of course, you can't just rely on batteries if you have a lot of or a long period without sun. Yeah.
The human aspect, because when it's not when there's no solar energy, there's a full understanding of the village that rationing of power is necessary. So any other load would be taken off, I would have thought. So maybe a tendency to a higher loss of load probability would bring the cost down, and that's what we need to actually magnify this throughout the region, bringing the cost down.
Mhm. Yeah. And also, I haven't looked into the technical details of this critical load. But I think that the critical circuit is also a very interesting aspect of it. Having one circuit saying if the battery or the state of charge of the battery is below a certain amount, which is required to power the refrigerator through the night, then you can't use other appliances not included in this critical circuit. And I think that is a good solution to also tell the user that no, you can't have tea tonight because we need power for the refrigerator, and so on. And then you can add more appliances to this critical circuit, depending on what you think is critical and how reliable you want the system to be.
Exactly, it's a very good point, because your battery life might be affected by using the last part of the battery, but it's not going to be used very often in this case. Maybe once or twice a year you have to use it down below the critical lower limit. So you're on the right track there. Definitely very impressed. Very good thesis. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you all. We are unfortunately at the very end. We are actually 1 minute past. So I would like to just say thank you once again to Ingrid, her mentor Ida, everyone at Eliko, and the rest of you for listening in. Again, if you would like to see this presentation again or other presentations, please go visit our website. Have a great afternoon, everyone. Take care. Bye.
Thank you so much for all your questions and for attending. Thank you.